Well, howdy y'all, and welcome back to my channel. I am Cy Strikling, and today I want to make a slightly different video for you. Today's video is actually going to be a cooking video, or a recipe video, how to make that, whatever you want to call it. But I came across this recipe for fried rice, and I actually tried to make fried rice years and years ago, and it was just awful. It was the worst thing I had ever made, and I didn't even want to eat it. It was horrible. So I never went back and redid fried rice. But I saw this recipe the other day on a YouTuber's channel, and I figured, well, I would give it a shot. Make a few changes to suit my taste. But overall, this is the best recipe I've ever found. It's the easiest, and it actually tastes really good. So I recorded it today while I made it, just to kind of show you guys how to do it and give you an idea if you want a quick and easy fried rice recipe. So let's take a look at the video I recorded, and I'll go through and kind of walk you through the steps. So to start out, you need to make the rice ahead of time. You don't want the rice to be really hot when you start doing this, otherwise it's going to cook your eggs prematurely while you're mixing it, and you don't want that. So you're going to start with the rice. Now, I made just one serving for myself. So I made 1 cup of rice, mixed with 1 cup of water, just some instant white rice, nothing special. It is long grain rice, and long grain definitely is a little bit better. I've heard that jasmine rice is actually the best, but I didn't have it. I just have plain white rice. Just use what you have. That's really the best option. But if you have long grain, that's the better option. So I made 1 cup of rice with 1 cup of water. Made that ahead of time so it was good and cooled down, because you don't want it too hot. Then you go to the eggs. So as far as eggs go, you can do kind of however many you want based on your taste. I like a lot of egg in my rice. I don't know about you, but I do. So when I tried this recipe originally, I started with only 2 eggs, because that's what the recipe called for, and I didn't want to overdo it. But this time I went with 4 eggs for the amount of rice that I had. And for me, it was perfect. I love it. It's a lot of egg, but it's really good. So really, it's up to you. If you want to do 2 eggs, that's fine. If you want to do more, go right ahead. But I did 4. So let's move on then, shall we? All right, so we crack our eggs into a bowl. Pretty self-explanatory. Alrighty, we have 4 eggs cracked in a bowl. So now you're going to take some kind of mixing utensil. It doesn't really matter what kind. Sorry for the camera shake there. The dog walked under the tripod as I was recording, of course. So then from here, you're going to grab some kind of mixing utensil. I just used a plastic fork because it's easier. I could just throw it out. And then we're going to mix up our eggs. So you want to mix them pretty good, like you're going to make scrambled eggs, that kind of mixing. You want to make sure that all the yolks are broken down and mixed well with the whites. So you just mix it. It doesn't have to be for super long, just until everything looks like it's just mixed well. You don't see any lumpy yolk or anything like that. Okay, so here we have our mixture, and now we mix in our pre-cooked and cooled down rice. Like I said, this is instant white rice, and I cooked it ahead of time, let it cool down for a while, because when you're putting it into the egg here, you don't want to cook the eggs with the rice. The rice would be too hot if it's fresh, and start to cook your eggs ahead of time, and you don't really want that. So then you just mix everything. You mix the rice with the eggs until it's all covered. You don't want to really see any lumpy, clumpy white rice still left over. You want to make sure that everything is mixed pretty well. Alright, so from here is where you're going to mix your seasoning. You can use any kind of seasoning that you like. You can use some plain salt and pepper, which I did in this video. You can actually mix in some soy sauce for taste. You can add oyster sauce is another good one. I don't like anything fishy. I'm not a fish person. But you can use any of those sauces to season your rice. Now, for this amount, I would recommend about a tablespoon of liquid to season your rice. Now, of course, soy sauce and stuff like that is very high in salt. So if you want, you can use a lower sodium soy sauce, or if you don't like as much salt, you can use, you can just skip that and use just plain salt and pepper like I did here. When I made this recipe originally, I did use soy sauce and I used a tablespoon. It was a little too salty for my taste. So this time around, like I said, I just did salt and pepper, and that definitely turned out a lot better for me, for my personal preference. I didn't use a whole lot. It doesn't really come out fast. And we have some pepper. Now, again, pepper is another one that you can use as much as you like. I usually like a lot of pepper. However, I didn't want to overpower it in this recipe, so you could definitely use more or less or none at all. Next time I'll probably use a little bit more pepper, to be honest. So you're going to mix the seasonings up into the rice, and then you're going to grab a tablespoon of cooking oil. Now, I'm using vegetable oil, but you can use any kind of cooking oil you want. The only thing I don't recommend is I don't recommend using any kind of olive oil or extra virgin olive oil, only because it has a very strong taste, and you're not really looking for taste out of the oil. So I would definitely recommend any kind of either canola oil or vegetable oil or anything like that. And then you're going to stir that up. All right. And now you're pretty much good to go. So now you're pretty much good to go, and you're ready to get your pan on and get that heating. So here's where things differ a little from the original recipe. Here, you use some more of your cooking oil, your vegetable oil or canola oil or whatever it is. You put a little bit in the pan. The original recipe used oil and shallots or green onions. And in the oil, they put like the white part, or the whitish to greenish, light green part of the green onion into the oil to make a green onion oil. I don't like green onions. I don't like onions, period. So I don't use them. I don't buy them. I don't have them, anything like that. So for this part, what I like actually is a lot of garlic. Garlic is really tasty to me, and it's something I really enjoy. So for me, I used some garlic in the oil. And you turn on the heat, and you heat that up until it starts to kind of bubble a little. And when you put your hand over the pan, it feels pretty hot. So here's our garlic, just some minced garlic. And I don't know how much I put in there. I usually just kind of scoop out a generous amount. 1 scoop is usually plenty. It doesn't have to be a full scoop. That was maybe like a half a scoop. And then you're going to turn your heat on and let your pan heat up. And you're also going to mix that pretty well. So you're going to mix it in the oil. Make sure that it's covering the entire bottom of the pan. I don't have a wok. This is probably better in a wok, but I don't have one. So again, use what you have. If you have a pan, great. The bigger the better. This is a 12-inch pan, but it doesn't have to be. So then you're going to let it heat up. You're going to kind of start to let it bubble a little and get really kind of sizzly in the pan. Alright, so now we're going to add in our egg mixture. You're going to add the egg and the rice, and the main thing after you've added your egg mixture is you want to keep stirring it. Now, it looks super wet here. I know that, and I freaked out the first time I made it because I'm like, this is way too wet. But it's not. It's definitely going to come together. It's going to dry up, and don't worry about it being too wet because, like I said, it's not. So you just want to make sure that you keep stirring it. You don't want to let it sit for too long. Otherwise, you're going to start to burn your egg. Your egg is going to have much bigger clumps in it than it would otherwise, and your rice is really going to stick together in bigger clumps. So you want to just keep stirring it. This is over a high heat, by the way, just in case you needed to know. Alright, so like I said, just keep mixing it. It looks super wet here. It looks awful, but it does come together, I promise. Okay, so at this point you can see it's starting to come together. It still looks pretty wet, but it's not nearly as wet as it was when we first added the egg and rice mixture. So again, just keep stirring. Alright, so we've still been stirring this whole time, but as you can see, it's starting to kind of dry up a little. It's not nearly as wet, and it's starting to get more fluffy and light and kind of broken apart. That's what we're looking for, but again, keep stirring. Okay, so here's the part in the video where you can add extra ingredients if you want. If you want any kind of meat, you can add that at this point. Anything has to be already pre-cooked or ready to go at this point, otherwise it's not really going to cook too well. You can add shredded carrots, you can add just about anything at this point. Green onions or whatever really floats your boat. The first time I made this, I actually put in some cooked chicken, some shredded cooked chicken. It was really good, but this time around I just went plain. So here you can add in your other ingredients, or if you don't have any other ingredients to add, you can move on to the next step. So you're going to push the rice aside, push it all to kind of one side in the pan, and then you're going to get some soy sauce. I don't know if this works with any other kind of sauce or if it's better just to use soy sauce. If you want, you can use low sodium soy sauce. That way you don't add a whole lot of extra salt. But like I said, I went kind of light on the salt in the beginning, so I wasn't really worried about it. I just have plain soy sauce. Up to you. It's all kind of preference and to your taste. So here, you're actually going to add the soy sauce to the pan where you've made an empty spot. See, I just use regular old soy sauce. Now, I don't know how much I add. I just kind of add enough until it looks like it's pretty good. You let it bubble a little bit. It's going to sizzle. And then you mix it all in. And you kind of just keep mixing. Let that come together. You want to make sure you get it all so there's no wet left. But just mix it all up pretty well together. All right. So you just keep mixing it. You really just want to incorporate that soy sauce into all of your rice. It's best to push the rice aside and add it to the empty part of the pan. It kind of lets it bubble first a little bit and kind of, not really boil off, but it kind of helps it to reduce a little bit. And then you just mix it all together like that. Alright, so that's pretty much it. It's done. At that point I turn off the heat and serve. And voila, you have your cooked fried rice with egg. That's it. That's as simple and easy as this recipe is. You don't need a whole lot of ingredients or dishes or anything like that. So I want to say thank you all for watching this video. I don't cook a lot and I don't cook well. I'm a very poor cook, but I like easy, simple recipes. So something like this was right up my alley. If you have any recipes that you want me to try, I can definitely make those as well on camera for you and show you how that goes. Hopefully well, but it may not. This one was super easy, so I liked it, and it went really well. It tasted amazing. And let me know in the comments down below if you tried it and if you like it. So I want to thank everybody for coming. I hope y'all have a great day. I'm Cy Strikeling, and I'll see y'all in the next one.